Hey guys, today we're taking a look at the Marseille with a secondary build. This, of course, is another one of the cruisers that could possibly benefit from this new range upgrade to secondaries. Of course, it's amazing on Napoli, OP even. We tried Pensacola, didn't necessarily have the secondaries to really make it work, but discovered that ship's kind of insane at tier 6 anyway. Marseille is a ship I haven't really enjoyed at all since it was released, as you probably know. But hey, we'll try it with a secondary build here with 12.5 kilometers range on those secondaries. That's the best you can get on any battleship. Except maybe Hanover with its combat instructions activated. That's the only way to get more than 12.5 kilometers. So pretty strong stuff. And of course, we should real quick look at the dispersion. Marseille becomes second or third best depending on how you count Pensacola. Schroder just behind it in accuracy. So this becomes a really good test to see if this range buff is going to help any cruisers outside of Napoli. My opinion is it's really only helping Napoli. But hey, Marseille, second best here. Let's see what it can possibly do. Pushing up to this island very aggressively. And we've actually got a Fletcher that's going to come and YOLO around the island for us. Keep in mind, this upgraded secondary commander skill only gives us range. It's not giving us dispersion. It's not giving us reload. So this is what old Marseille secondaries would do pre this commander buff. So yeah, our main guns aren't turning in time. We just have to rely on those secondaries to kill this Fletcher. He's going to force us out in a very, very awkward position, unfortunately. But I think the secondaries are basically just going to solo this guy. So the secondaries are pretty good at close range. Into destroyers, we're also going to have a decent pen. As you can see there, we actually do manage to finish him off. And I'm pretty sure we did all of his HP pool just with those secondaries. Of course, it does force us out into a Shikishima and a Veneto and a Takao and a submarine. So, you know, not great, of course, positioning-wise. But we do manage to survive, and we did take out that Fletcher. So with 12.5 kilometer secondaries, though, are they going to be that effective at longer ranges? That's really the question. And after playing it a ton, I played this a lot. I don't like Marseille. I played this ship quite a bit over the last couple weeks, ever since the patch, really. And it really hasn't seemed worth it to me. You're going to notice throughout this video that the gun dispersion is just not good enough. And that's just how Marseille normally is. But keep in mind, to get this 12.5 kilometer range on these secondaries, we are sacrificing dispersion module. We have to take secondary module in that third slot to get this range. And that's where I just really don't think it's worth it. At best, I think you run a hybrid build, and we'll take a look at the build after this video. But hey, we do manage to live. This game is not over quite yet, and since it is arms race, possibly with that small heal buff ticking, we could get back into this game. I really don't think that that full range is going to be worth it here on the Marseille. And that also means that the Schroder probably isn't worth it as well. I have been trying the Schroder as well, but as we saw from that dispersion chart, Schroder is quite a bit worse on the accuracy front than the Marseille is. So even though it does get the pen upgrade over something like Marseille secondaries, it's just hitting even less often. Takao here, flat broadside, and we don't really do much damage to him. That's really where you're wanting that dispersion upgrade. And the extra range and potential little bit of damage you're getting out of those secondaries at those longer ranges, I don't think is going to be worth it. I think this is potentially an interesting upgrade to take to get yourself 11 kilometer range. Of course, that is the range you're going to have if you take dispersion mod, as well as this commander skill to upgrade the range. So pretty standard hybrid build battleships if you're going for a secondary approach on battleships. 11 kilometers is pretty standard for these tier 10s. You're going to take that a lot on the German battleships, of course, looking to take some accuracy upgrades, but also get those secondaries out to 11. So I think that's at best what the Marseille is going to be capable of. However, I have noticed with the Marseille, we do take a lot of damage when pushing into these very, very aggressive positions. And maybe I'm doing it a little bit too early in the match when I'm trying to make these aggressive plays. But even later game, this ship can die pretty quickly if you get it into the wrong situation. You ideally are wanting to flank and not be the main focus of the enemy team. You're trying to be that one guy out on the flank while the enemy team is trying to deal with your main force in the middle of the map. and you're catching those broadsides and punishing them with your big guns and this reload booster. That's kind of the main idea of this ship, I think. HE is also a pretty solid option with this thing, just because the alpha damage is great, as is the fire chance. So we've healed up a little bit more now, and we're just going to use this island here to just try and pressure the enemy team as they start pushing towards the middle of the map here. We still have the option to get a pretty decent game, but I haven't really found the secondaries to be all that useful on the Marseille. And Schroder, of course, we had that just ridiculous ranked game a little while ago where I basically won a ranked match with the Schroder in like 4 minutes, where I just YOLO charged into a cap. All the enemy DDs were basically there, and the secondaries just killed them all. And that's not going to change. I think the real problem here is just the accuracy at longer ranges. I think these secondaries on all the cruisers are just not good enough accuracy-wise at longer ranges to really afford to take this full build, either sacrificing 3 commander skills to get the range or sacrificing dispersion mod, which is pretty painful, as we've already said. It really just does seem like Napoli is the only ship that should be taking a full secondary build. And even that, I mean, you could run a hybrid build now and have better main gun accuracy and have better value out of those guns, which can do pretty good damage. They're reasonably good sized and have decent armor piercing. So, I don't know. It's a very, very weird change. Of course, I have focused on the battleships with this patch, but I did want to at least take a look at the secondary skills on the cruisers just to see what they would do. And of course, you might be wondering about some of the other battle cruisers like Aegir, Siegfried, other things like this. It's just not worth it, guys. Hindenburg, maybe. It's just not worth it because the accuracy goes down from there, right? They just go down to this just atrocious accuracy that just doesn't hit anything ever. The thing that helps battleships hit things is the accuracy upgrades you're getting on the commander. It's 10%, and then it ticks up for another 50% extra over time. That's a lot. That's a big, big difference. And I don't think cruisers should be really speccing into these secondaries. Not only are they just squishier at closer ranges like this, they're also just not going to do nearly as much damage with those secondaries. They don't have as many secondaries typically, as well as the pen being a little bit worse. Harder to survive, and you're not getting as much damage out of them as a battleship might. So, pretty difficult to recommend. And it really makes me wonder, what was the thought process behind this commander skill change for cruisers? The battleships I can kind of get behind in allowing you to get to your consumables a little quicker and allowing you a little more flexibility to take something like Furious a little easier to help battleships survive a bit longer at closer ranges and do a little more damage while they're ticking down on fires. But this cruiser one, it feels like they just decided to buff Napoli. It was just like, yeah, we're changing some commander skills anyway. Let's just give Napoli a buff. I don't really understand it, because I personally think Napoli was just kind of OP already before this change. The secondaries already did immense damage. The concealment was amazing. The main guns, well, a little anemic and awkward to use just because they don't have very good consistency. We have that fuel smoke, and then combined with the amazing armor on Napoli, it's a lot like Petro, where the ship just doesn't really take damage. Even ships just aren't really able to overmatch it as easily. Where Marseille, you can definitely get overmatched. Upper belt, I think, is 30 mil, so pretty easy to get overmatched these days at tier 10, where Napoli just doesn't. So that allows it to push in a little bit easier. And of course, Schroder also isn't going to get overmatched as easily. It has the better armor as well, but with even worse accuracy than Marseille, of course, the range isn't as helpful. You really do just want to be getting within 5 to 7 kilometers with that ship. So pushing them out to 12, not really all that valuable. But hey, we managed to bring this game back, so Marseille doing a decent job here, even with a suboptimal build, in my opinion, going for full secondaries. And, you know, we're seeing the downsides of that, where there's a broadside Hindenburg we catch out, and we do get a Citadel, but let's be honest, that dispersion was pretty disappointing. Now, 7% probably doesn't change that. To be honest, that looks like an aiming bug. There's some real massive issues with the aiming system in this game. Not only does it try and aim for you and essentially pull your shells away from the enemy ship if they do any maneuvering at all, well, it seems like there's just a lot of lag or problems with the servers. It's unlikely they've really upgraded the servers at all since release of this game. So, given how many more shells and things are flying around the game as DPM has increased, I think maybe the servers are just struggling. I don't know, but these aim bugs are very annoying. Some of those salvos, I don't think 7% is really going to change them into making them better accuracy. To me, it just looks like a problem with the game and how it's made. A bug, essentially. But hey, there we go. Victory. We do get ourselves 181. That's a really good game still. 4 kills. I just don't see the secondaries being all that valuable. Again, I've played a lot of games, and the secondaries really just didn't provide me too much value. But in this one, hey, they still killed that Fletcher for us, which is really, really nice. And it would have done that anyway, with a more normal build. So here we are in a training room. Just to really give you guys an idea, here we are at 11.3 kilometers, not even at the 12.5 kilometers. And we're going to be using our secondaries on a Proysen. Pretty big target. This is honestly best case scenario for a Marseille with a secondary build, because these guns aren't going to pen battleship's hull. We're looking for battleship superstructures. And at longer ranges, we're not going to be hitting DDs very reliably. So we're looking for the largest target of low armor plating, which essentially is a German battleship superstructure. And here's your damage. I mean, is this worth missing out on dispersion upgrade? I don't know. Sure, we're gonna get a fire. That's pretty nice to see, but that's pretty rough dispersion. And keep in mind, it keeps going down from here. This is the whole issue, right? Our Schroder is gonna be much worse dispersion than this yet, and then after Schroder, it just gets even worse. So this is really why I've been pretty hesitant to even recommend going for secondaries on cruisers at all. And really, it seems to be the same thing. Only Napoli, I think, is worth a full secondary build. I think with Marseille, you could run a hybrid, though. I think a hybrid could be worthwhile on a Marseille. But even 11 kilometers, it's not that amazing. I think what really is just nice on a Marseille is you have these reasonably accurate secondaries if you get YOLO'd around a corner, right? You can run a full normal tank, utility, concealment, accuracy build without touching the secondaries at all, and you're still going to gain that ability to kill that enemy Fletcher as he's YOLOing around the corner on you, like we did in this game example, without even speccing the secondaries. Because keep in mind, we're really only getting 20% extra accuracy on the third upgrade module, so we'd be missing out on 15%, something like that. You know, we're doing some damage here with fires and that, but it's not worth speccing into for me personally. So then let's take a look at this build. On the Commander, what I was running looked like this. We were taking Outnumbered to try and make up for that dispersion a little bit. Top grade is going to give us 10% reload on the secondaries. Pack-a-Punch giving us that extra 20% range, which don't think is worth it. I think you'd much rather swap over to extra damage on your main guns. You'd rather go to concealment. You'd rather go survivability expert even. Like, there's a lot of other things that would benefit a Marseille a lot more. And then on the equipment side of things, yeah, I don't think secondary battery mod 1 is really worth it. So going to aiming systems mod 1, you're going to lose 15% range and accuracy on your secondaries. You're gaining 7% main battery dispersion, which, let's be honest, is where most of your damage is going to be coming from. So even with this, well, assuming we retain our commander skills, with even that, I don't know is worth it. You're still getting 11 kilometers of range, which is really quite a lot. But if you do decide to just swap it completely out, you're going to go down to 9.2 kilometers of secondary range, which is still really good. Let's be honest. Like 9.2 is not bad. Back in the day when the game released, only Yamato got more than that. So that's a decent amount. And you're still going to have that to deal with that enemy DD. So that's my thoughts on this this Pack-a-Punch skill in particular. Marseille, of course, being kind of the second best after Napoli to go for it. And even on Marseille, I don't really see its value. Trying out the Schroder, I just was constantly reminded that I could be taking a skill that would help me survive or get a little closer range and have better value out of those secondaries anyway. So for me personally, it's really only Napoli that Pack-a-Punch is really good on with the full secondary build. Marseille can do a bit of a hybrid, Schroder can do a bit of a hybrid, but even there, we're already getting into diminishing returns and where we'd probably rather be running something else. that's all for today's video. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think about the secondaries on cruisers in the comments down below. Have you been using them? Have they been working for you? Maybe I've just not been able to make them work, but yeah, for me personally, it really just is Napoli. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.